Welcome to Hi-O Audio's YouTube channel. Enjoy this chapter. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. The Steward Demonic Emperor Chapter 19, Godeye Long Jiu. 20,000, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan rubbed his chin, shaking his head as he reached for the scroll. Since young Miss Long isn't honest, there's no need to continue. Her body moved back and hugged the scroll, afraid Zhuo Fan might take it. Mr. Zhuo, 20,000 isn't little for a one-street grade array. And this is a drawing instead of a jade slip. This price of mine is fair. Ha ha ha, young Miss Long. I might not be too learned, but I know when you try to cheat me. Give me the scroll. Zhuo Fan reached out, but was in no rush to take it as he stared down at her. Tightening her grip on the drawing, Long Kui bit her lip and shouted, "Take it as my loss, 30,000. Young Miss Long still is not honest enough." Zhuo Fan shook his head in disappointment and leaned over to grab for the scroll. Long Kui curled backward, wanting to dodge Zhuo Fan's evil clutches. This drawing was indeed a one-street grade array, and this wasn't the first time she saw one. Her original price was quite fair, and she began with 20,000 because she knew she couldn't swindle the knowledgeable Zhuo Fan. But even so, with how many arrays there were out there, she didn't know them all. The #1 appraising noble house in the empire had many arrays in storage, yet this was a rare chance for her to encounter one that was unlike any she saw before. As such, even if she would lose out, she would do all she could to have this array. A pity that the relentless Zhuo Fan stood in her way, unwilling to back down even half a step. As such, she turned to the ignored young miss of the Luo clan. "Young Miss Luo, this drawing is 30,000 at most. Only the Veiled Dragon Pavilion has the wealth to buy such a drawing in the entire empire. You won't gain a better price elsewhere." She hesitated and glanced at Zhuo Fan. Long Kui knew she had an escape and pushed her advantage to entice her. "Young Miss Luo, you and the Veiled Dragon Pavilion are making a great transaction and will become our honored guest. Our doors will forever be open to you." "Honored guest?" Luo Yuncheng mumbled. "Isn't this gaining a supporter?" Her heart was overtaken with joy and turned to Zhuo Fan. "What if?" "Not a word." Zhuo Fan roared and glared at her. This foolish woman was swayed in seconds. How could the Veiled Dragon Pavilion stick their heads out for some bullshit guests? To get the best of their power, to have their protection, they could only attain it through a trade of equals. "Young Miss Long, I am Luo clan's steward, in charge of all matters concerning it. Please return the drawing." Zhuo Fan's smile was replaced by a cold stare. Long Kui looked in a daze, first at him, then at Luo Yuncheng. Though his words rang true, since when did a steward's power superseded his lord's? How was he the steward? By the look of things, the lady of Luo clan is unable to keep the steward in check. Sighing, Long Kui was very reluctant in giving the scroll back, evident by her slow movement. "Such a pity, Mr. Zhuo Fan. Your request is too high and I can't fulfill it. But I am willing to guarantee on our Veiled Dragon Pavilion's fame that this one-street grade array won't go beyond 30,000. With the scroll in hand, Zhuo Fan rose from his seat and leaned closer to Long Kui, leaving her flabbergasted. Before she could say anything, he said, "Sorry, it seems I thought too highly of the young miss. You truly don't understand. Does this place have any other appraiser?" What? I do not understand." Long Kui's cheeks were tinted red as her heart swelled with anger. No item that passed her hands hadn't received a correct assessment. The fact she could point out the fake black jade, yet unable to explain why, was her talent. It was because of this that she rose to a top-rated appraiser. In short, She was an expert. Yet, here came Zhuo Fan mocking her talent, refuting her skill in appraising. It was worse than any physical attack, an insult to her dignity. Mr. Zhuo Fan, your eyes are not wrong, but it is best not to overreach. Long Kui showed a smile that went beyond just anger. All of them could hear the gnashing of her teeth. Yet Zhuo only smiled. Is there any other appraiser here? Long Kui glared. Fine, just wait here. And she left. Luo Yunchang was worried about the anger Long Kui showed. Did we offend the Veiled Dragon Pavilion? Zhuo Fan shook his head with an unusual smile. Moments later, Long Kui appeared again with steady steps. But this time, an old man was at her side. Godeye Long Jiu. Luo Yunchang shouted in shock and turned to Zhuo Fan. He is the supervisor of the Veiled Dragon Pavilion in Wingay City, the head appraiser, Godeye Long Jiu. Ah, it's Luo clan's young miss. Even from 100 steps, Long Jiu's voice resounded clearly in their ears. I've met your father 20 years ago. He was full of mettle then. I didn't expect for your clan to sell their treasure. Zhuo Fan's heart shivered as his brows knitted. This man's power was a cut above Kai Rong's to the point not even Zhuo Fan could see through him. It wasn't that his eyesight was poor, or the fact that the old man hid his power. The difference between them was just too deep. I see. So Veiled Dragon Pavilion has such an expert, thought Zhuo Fan. Soon, Long Jiu was supported by Long Kui and arrived before them. Luo Yunchang bowed. Grandpa Jiu, the others were quick to follow. Yet Zhuo Fan just stood there. Long Jiu sized him up with his only hazy eye. Are you Luo clan steward? Yes. All right. Anyone's better than that old son. Long Jiu shot a meaningful glance at them, then sat down. I heard you doubt little Kui's skill. Yes. Zhuo Fan didn't mince words, eliciting a snort from her and a roll of the eye. Ha ha ha, little Kui might be new in this line of business, but her eyes are true. She must be more or less right with her assessment. But since you doubt her, this blind old man will take a look. Please. Zhuo Fan offered the scroll. Long Jiu's smile vanished when he turned to its contents, staring intently at it. Uncle Jiu, wasn't I right? Long Kui grinned and shouted, 1 street-grade array, 30,000 spirit stones. Long Jiu kept staring at the drawing, and only after a while did he speak with a solemn face. I never thought the Luo clan would hide such a thing. Kid, what do you think of 1.8 million spirit stones? What? They all went slack-jawed, Long Kui in particular. Never had she dreamed of the day the supervisor of Veiled Dragon Pavilion, Long Jiu, would utter such an astronomical number. The Steward Demonic Emperor, Chapter 20, Ancient Array. Uncle Jiu. Long Kui watched Long Jiu wide-eyed, who instead watched the calm Zhuo Fan with his only eye. Zhuo Fan gazed back with a grin to Lo. W.H. They all cried out in response. 1.8 million was an inconceivable wealth for the Luo clan. Luo Yunchang never dreamed of having such riches. Yet in the eyes of Zhuo Fan, it wasn't enough. Luo Yunchang and Captain Pang looked lost at him. If not for being born and raised in the Cloud Manor, they'd be thinking he was a noble descendant. His gaze traveled so far. Yet before others could recover from Zhuo Fan's attack, here came Long Jiu's reply. I understand, but this is the most this old man can give. Oh, then I'll sell it as a favor for Grandpa Jiu at this price. Luo Yunchang chuckled embarrassedly as she wiped her brow. She never imagined a random drawing from Zhuo Fan would garner such an insane price that took all of Godeye Long Jiu's wealth to pay for it. And by the looks of it, Long Jiu seemed to have set his sights on it. As such, it was better to earn his favor and be on good terms with Veiled Dragon Pavilion. Long Jiu showed a gratified smile, as expected, being extra careful as he rolled the drawing. But then, Zhuo Fan slapped the table. Since you can't go higher, the deal is off. Zhuo Fan. Luo Yunchang gave him a look, but he ignored her as he reached for the scroll. Squinting his eye, Long Jiu unleashed his awe-inspiring power. Kid, this old man wants it. Under such tremendous pressure, everyone recoiled, while Luo Yunchang and Captain Pang were overwhelmed from shock. Long Jiu was far above Kai Rong. Offending him would be tantamount to instant death. Yet, Zhuo Fan held his own under the man's power and even sneered, "Grandpa Jiu, you're staining Veiled Dragon Pavilion's reputation. Kid, are you not afraid?" Long Jiu kicked his power up a notch. "Humph, aren't you?" Blanking out for a second, Long Jiu took back his power and laughed. "Ha ha ha, good kid. With you in charge of the Luo clan, they have nothing to worry about." The others were baffled. The two were a step away from jumping at each other's throat, and in the next instant all went up in smoke. Yet, no one knew the two moved the battle from brawn to mind. Long Jiu released his power to soften Zhuo Fan into selling him the drawing. Instead, Zhuo Fan pushed through the pressure and asked the old man about his honor. Veiled Dragon Pavilion was the #1 appraising house among the 7 noble houses. If this coercion leaked, then the damage would be unimaginable. Zhuo Fan bet on his fate and the clan's honor's place in Long Jiu's heart and won. With a deep look directed at Zhuo Fan, Long Jiu took the direct approach. "Kid, I know you didn't come just to sell this drawing. What are your terms?" Grinning, Zhuo Fan pushed the drawing before Long Jiu. 10 million is a fair offer. Let's start by having you pay us 1 million and the rest slowly." "That's..." Long Jiu eyed the scroll, then nodded after a while. "All right. Until the debt is paid, the Veiled Dragon Pavilion shall owe Luo clan." Long Jiu took the scroll and left. Yet once he was gone, his voice lingered. "Little Kui, give them 1 million spirit stones and walk them out." "Oh, yes." Long Kui was overwhelmed with different thoughts, as she had never seen Long Jiu with such a sour expression. Turning back to Zhuo Fan, it was the first time she saw him sporting such a content smile. Next, she handed over 1 million spirit stones and saw them out. At the gate, the 2 guards were eager for them to show up and teach them a thing or two. But Long Kui's respectful attitude threw a wrench in their plans. And when they heard the deal they made included 1 million spirit stones, they were stunned. Never had they imagined a remote place like this could come with such an important deal. It became one of the top 3 deals in Veiled Dragon Pavilion's history. "Damn, thank God we didn't do anything or disaster might have struck." A guard watched the 4 leave and wiped the sweat off his brow. The other just bobbed his head. Veiled Dragon Pavilion treated a rich clan with respect. If any of their men dared to offend the clan, the noble house would exact punishment. In the case of a clan with 1 million spirit stones, the guards' complete lack of courtesy would even end with their deaths. Thinking about it, they began to sweat buckets. On the other hand, Long Kui returned to Long Jiu, who was now looking at every detail of the 1-street grade array. "Uncle Jiu, isn't it just a 1-street grade array? How is this worth 10 million? I have never even seen an item worth that much," Long Kui asked the moment she went through the door. Sighing, Long Jiu gestured for her to come next to him. Little Kui looked closer. This might be the only one of its kind in the Empire. "This is..." Long Kui's eyes flashed with shock. "An ancient array." Long Jiu showed how moved he was with every word. The ancient arrays are a lost art, Yet this has essentially proven their existence. It is priceless, and even 10 million is too low. What? It's that valuable? Nodding, Long Jiu revealed a childish smile, as if he got his most cherished toy. But something occurred to him that soured his mood. Little Kui, tell Ji to find 5 experts and watch over the Luo clan. They offended the Sun clan today. Why should we help them? Long Jiu snorted, haven't you been listening? We owe them. Long Kui began to recall. So this is what Zhuo Fan and Long Jiu were haggling over. Yet, the veteran Uncle Jiu was defeated in negotiations by a pup. Of course, he was in a bad mood. Long Kui couldn't help but let out a giggle. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more content.